They're off. Between horses, Devoir showing speed. Towards the inside, here's Percy moving out. Percy now takes the lead. Au revoir on the outside, second. Commissioner Gulch, third. Journeyist up along the rail, now third. Commissioner Gulch, fourth. Rainy Mountain is caught four wide. Go Maddie Go, and the early trailer is White Lies. White Lies about eight behind the leader with a half mile to run. They run by the opening quarter in 22.70 per C. Leads them into the turn by 2 lengths. Au revoir on the outside, second. Journeyist is third. And then it's Commissioner Gulch fourth. Towards the inside, Go Maddie Go. Rainy Mountain, White Lies. They come to the top of the stretch. Percy leads, but on the outside, Au revoir's gaining. Around the turn, they're in the stretch. Percy comes off the turn. Au revoir moves right alongside in second. Now Au revoir up to take the lead and draw away. Percy racing second. A gap to Journeyus. And on the outside, Commissioner Gulch, followed by Go Maddie Go. But Au revoir has the lead as they're coming down to the finish. Au revoir, repeat winner in the third chance. She won it last year and she won it this year. Au revoir won by 4. Percy second. Then it was Commissioner Gulch and Go Maddie Go. The 2020
Good morning.
handicap at home.
Good morning, Emily. And you heard Peter Galassi there. She's going to win again for the third year in a row, right?
Yeah, well, we got a good pronunciation because it's always a tough one, at least for me, anyways. Oh, and by the way, before we get started, how do I sound? Do I sound okay, or I need to jump out?
You sound like you are Kermit the Frog right now.
Jeez. Okay, I'm gonna jump out, jump back in.
Yeah.
See you in a minute.
Let's do that. All right.
Let's try again.
You sound perfect.
That's so strange.
Yeah, you're good. So yeah, I wanted to start off with this race because it's a stake, and it's one we don't have to spend too much time on. I don't think, unless you have a different opinion.
No, absolutely not. I mean, she's a major standout in here. Is going to reunite with Jareth Loveberry, who's been aboard for 10 of those wins. But I think if you or I were on her in this race, she could probably still win in here. So yeah, not a lot of time on this race needed.
Yeah, Chris has been pointing her to this spot, has been off since July, but took August off and trained up for this. And you can look at the work tab. It's sensational. And this is the target. And, I expect a similar race, from her last time she ran on dirt here. I mean, she should do what she wants. She could, I think the outside horse Becker will probably try and wire. Has some good races at FanDuel. Has some early zip, likes to win. Usually doesn't do as well here at Hawthorne. Did break her maiden here many moons ago. But her best work has been down in St. Louis, East St. Louis area. I guess the idea would be for ET, who is a great gate jockey, is maybe just try and steal it. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but I think the block runner can just do what she wants and just track it and overpower it when she wants to.
Yeah. Just real quick, you still have the background music on in the background, just for what it's worth. But yeah, I agree in terms of tactics. That race to the finish is probably going to go out there and send. She's probably quickest to the first call. But then the point that you brought up without saying the C word is class, right? And so class comes into play when you're trying to transfer circuit to circuit, right, which is different than speed figures. And then based on class, what you end up finding is a horse like Ouvre, who's not necessarily a front runner, though she has one on the lead. And part of that is just due to her class. She can, like you said, put herself in the race, do whatever she wants to do. If race to the finish, gets out, pops the gate, gets the lead, Ouvre's going to sit right there and then just say, when do you want me to go? Or I'm just going to go. And then that's that. So yeah, right, maybe it's a good play to race to the finish, just kind of waits for Ouvre to make her move and then just try to run for second. I think sometimes that happens a lot in these races is riders try to ride for second. They think, hey, we're not going to beat this horse, unless like loses the rider at the start, things that are unforeseen, right? We're more likely than not going to win this race. How do we get second, right?
Yeah.
Do we get second by trying to beat her? So, yeah, that can become a rider's race for that spot.
Although, when you talk about second, maybe Loveberry's like, hey, I'm on the best horse. I know this ET is going to go. I can reel that one in whenever I want, and it gets second that way.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
So you're saying, yeah, that's what you're saying. I thought you were saying,
yeah.
Okay, something else. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much what I see. I see a 3-5 straight exacta here. That's what I would probably play. I think that's going to be the race scenario. If you're trying to make money in this race, I guess that's the play you can try and make, unless you have other ideas in here. But we've talked about White Lies a few times during the meet, and she has disappointed. Maybe she can finally clunk up and do something. I mean, she was 42-1 last time, ran a good race. I think we were on this mare 2-back, and we were disappointed in that race.
Well, that race she had kind of an excuse at the start, which was
Yeah.
why we gave her another look back, where she ran a competitive race on September 8th. But you're dealing with a horse that has some gait issues that makes that late run. Now it's a significant rider change, different complexion of a race. Longest shot on the board once again in this field. You figure Ouvre is going to be 1-9 in here, short as it can possibly get. So everybody else is going to be, longer odds. And you start looking at the exactas, and maybe you think it's as simple as 3-5, and if you're getting 2-1 in a 5-horse race, then you go for it. Or you want to try to get White Lies, maybe that's a 6-1 type play. So yeah, just different ways to look at it for sure.
Yeah, that's the way you got to look at the race. Auvert, right? Is going to win. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
How do you say her name?
I say 3, but if we're gonna go with the name, Peter Woodson, what did he say? He's
yeah. You say
Ouvre?
Okay, the 3. Yeah, the 3 is going to win. So everybody has to try and figure out, hey, how are we going to make money with the exacta? If you want to do maybe a $10, $20 trifecta, 3 over 2 horses, maybe you could do that. I guess that's the only way to play it. If the 3 loses, I would be very, very surprised.
I would be too. I think it would be just one of those weird things that are, kind of beyond your handicapping, right? Like stumbles and loses the rider, things like that. That's probably the scenario that she gets beat in this race.
All righty.
Should we move on to the big one? That way we can just.
You already want to go to the big one? Oh man, I was going to go to the 5th.
All right. Well, the fifth. Well, first, I'll just preface it by this. There's not a single race on this card I don't like. I think they're all awesome. I'm just a little bit hesitant right now because it's been kind of raining off and on.
Don't tell me that. They're only going to run the stake on.
They'll run the stake on the turf for sure. Right. I don't think we've got enough rain, but like this type of race, I would just be that's the problem when you're doing these shows like so far out in advance. Like if we're doing something Sunday morning and we have gym, it's like we kind of know how today's going to play. But that's why I would just kind of I'm treading lightly on this race right now because it could change significantly, and we've just seen that happen where the race we're talking about now is a different race tomorrow. So
since we're on it, I really like the 2 here. If it stays on the turf, I like the stretch out. I think it's a wire threat. Cohen gets back on.Maybe he said, hey, let's try it long. Who knows? But feeling good, working good, will be the speed. And I think Rieta stretching out here has a super shot to wire the field.
Looking at Optics plot, she's going to have to earn it on the front end if she does take up that trip. It's a Sun contention. It's a very high 67 speed rate. There's other horses that are as fast the first call. Vance's horse, the 5, Queen Anna T. I'm not talking about winning. I'm just talking about horses that can keep pace in that opening call, just for clarification. Surprise Me Again has enough early speed to run with Rieta early. And even number 7, Rumbrandt's not going to go with her, but there's other horses that are quality horses that are going to keep the pace honest, keep that pressure up. Roar of Silence on the rail being one of those. At Midnight being another. Lady Mercedes on the outside. And even number 3, Spicy Italian, which is the direction that I went in this race. I thought she had a big look on September 8th with some really sneaky, buried form, and ran a really competitive race. She broke slow. She had trouble at the start. The inside was favorable. It was a lone winner that day. And Spicy Italian made a big close, a massive gallop out. I think she gets a different pace scenario in here. And the recent finishing positions would probably keep the pace honest for her. But yeah, that's kind of where, if this race stays exactly as it is and we're firm on the turf or whatever, that's the way I'm going. But I'm giving her a big look in this competitive event.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. When you talk about the pace, I always mark down the dirt speed onto turf. The 5 does have a time form rating of 100 on dirt early, so that is the fastest in the race. Yeah. It would be interesting to see from them, the 6250 race, if it can compute that and do that on the turf. It's also stretching out, so I will concede to that. But I think the game plan for the 5 or for the 2 would be to go to the front today.
Oh, I'm not disputing. I'm not disputing
no, right.
that. I'm just
think it might get spicy?
Yeah, exactly. I hope it's spicy enough for an Italian. But yeah, I'm looking, and when I'm making this comment, it's based on the data that the horses have run, and again, that takes some interpretation. But based on the data that the horses have run, if they run back to those races, all things being equal, Rietta's gonna probably take some pace pressure. Now, she just might be better than those. Maybe the other ones try to take back and rate. She can definitely win. But there's, in 10 to 1.
I think she's better.
I'm not knocking her at 10 to 1, that's for sure.
Right.
I think she might come down.
I think she's better than the speed horses in here. And yeah, I like her a lot. We'll see. I'll do a 2-3 exacta. I like what you said about spicy.
And then I'll just, mention Chris Block runners, because seems like they're very live. And Resme again has some early speed, is going to be stepping up in class in there. And Roar of Silence was stepping up last out, and obviously has a big excuse in there, right? Losing Mohica in the opening furlong. But again, she was kind of fractious in the gate. The fact they're going to come back on short rest. Yeah, they're 2 horses that are just worth a mention, because I think the barn's going to come out live on this big day. Yeah,
the block runner, I think Roar of Silence is probably going to take a little bit of money. I mean,
yeah.
Those 2 turf races were really good. The last 2 anyway, before she fell, and she was 4 to 1 that day in allowance. She's probably going to go off lower than the 5 to 1. I could be wrong.
She didn't fall. Does it say that she fell?
Oh, she didn't fall.
No, she didn't fall.
Oh, no, she didn't fall.
Mohica fell.
Lost rider.
Yeah, but she continued to run on riderless. She ran the race without a rider, so she's no worse for the wear coming back.
Okay, good.
From that. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so we'll see what happens there. 2, 3. I'll box those up. I'll throw Roar of Silence underneath on my trifecta. And I'll probably look for another horse to throw underneath there. Not sure where I'll go, but I'll be heavy 2 over the 3 1. All right. The next race. Do you want to go to the big one?
We can go in any order. Like I said, I love every single race on here. I'm happy we can do this entire.
Well, I don't really have a strong opinion in race 6, so we might as well go to race 7.
Let me see if I just have something real quick that I can throw out.
Sure.
Oh, I do have something kind of clever in there. I like Allotrope in race 6. I think it's finding the right changes in class. Should find the right pace scenario drawn on the outside. I think she's got a chance to upset in there. Number 8, Allotrope.
Number 8. All right. So are we looking at
so we can move on.
All right. We're dropping down from 12.5. We're going to probably show a lot more speed on the outside. You're getting a little bit of weight, which in sprints, The weight's cool to have, but I like it in routes better, obviously. 6-7 wide last time at a tougher level. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense at 8-1. 8-1.
Yeah. To me,
Okay.
that's a great time to take a stab on this horse. Finding a
Yeah.
lot of positive changes, has early speed and on the outside, and should just be able to get the right tracking trip. I mean, Lost Sunset's going to be favored, who's on the rail. She's probably going to take pace pressure from the 5 runners heat. And even Allotrope is right there. And sitting, I prefer having speed on the outside of those two, and the class drop shows intent. We're getting down to the end of the meet. Yeah, that's the play for me. Allotrope.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you.
I don't like our Archibred over there. My uncle, God bless him, I think he needs to retire Queenie. I don't know. Does she want to run anymore? She's only 4.
Yeah.
But maybe if it rains again, who knows? But I don't know. Maybe we can get her on a fast strip and she shows a little bit something. But she didn't look too interested last time. All right, so yeah, Allotrope on the outside. I like that. Oh, you hit
blowing up over there.
Yep. All right, so race 7.
You gotta turn off your Tinder notifications when you're on the live stream.
Tinder. I haven't been on Tinder in a while. Tinder.
Just giving
you. What was the other one? What was the other one? There was Tinder, and there was.
There's a few out there.
There was I forgot. Is that the one you swipe left and right and all that?
I think they're all pretty much swipe left and right.
Yeah.
But anyways, we can move on to horse racing, a subject that both you and I are probably a little bit better at.
Yeah. Race 7 is the big one, the Carey Memorial. 150,000. We're going a mile. Rails are at 0 feet, I believe. Correct. All right. Well,
and we have had moisture. So if we ran it today, if like this race was in like the next hour or so, it would be good to yielding. Now the rain's kind of light. It's not like it's cold. It's about 69, 71 degrees right now. Some breeze. So just keep that in mind. If we had no rain between here and now, there's still going to be a lot of give in the course.
That's interesting.
And we could get even a little bit more rain. So do not expect. I wouldn't expect firm. Good would even be kind of a miracle.
Well,
but we'll be on the turf.
I looked at 2 horses. The first one I looked at was He's Pure Gold. This one should, get a perfect trip down there. Sit in the pocket. It's just in really good form. Paco Lopez comes over. A very aggressive rider too, so he'll go through any hole. And this horse has won at Gulfstream, has won at Monmouth, won at a lot of different tracks, and 9-time winner. Fits well in the spot. 5-1 is, it's not exciting, but it's one of the logical horses that it's going to be a major player in a race where it should get a little bit of a setup and probably sit in a perfect catbird seat and angle out or come up the rail at some point. Another one that I like is a long shot here, Tonka Warrior. I watched a replay of the last 2 at Canterbury. Very impressed. Galloped out strong, big moves. I remember this runner at Oaklawn too. And
oh yeah. Yep.
It beat some good horses down there too on dirt, and it looks like it could just run on anything. And I was pretty impressed. I like this runner, and maybe it moves up a little bit on turf. It's not really that much faster though on turf as it is dirt. I mean, if you're looking at pure buyer speed figures, its lifetime best is actually at Oaklawn. But if anybody can watch that replay of the last, the way it powered home wide down the middle of the track and just drew off, it was very impressive. And that's one that I don't know if I want to go 1-6 or 6-1. I'll definitely have both of those in my trifecta, exacta, horizontals, verticals, everything is going to revolve around both of these 2 runners.
I'll just mention, I completely agree. I think this is a horse that's versatile as far as surface, runs their race both on the turf, on the dirt. You mentioned the last race. It wasn't a win, but those top 3 were together to blanket finish at the wire. It was a winning type effort for the level. The horse that won that race, you can kind of see, he's got some common running lines, a horse called Tony's Tappet, a horse that was like on like a 4 or 5 race win streak. So a really strong informed horse out at Canterbury Park. Now, the thing that you have to consider that is a little bit different today for Tonka Warrior. Maybe it's a positive, maybe it's a negative, but I think it's the handicapping factor. And again, you should have plenty of price compensation. Is they're going to run back in a week. So is this race is probably not one that they're pointing towards, but might be like, we've got a horse that's in form. Let's take a shot. And taking a shot horses win, but I think that's a different thing that you're looking at as far as intent, where a lot of times going into a graded stakes race, at least in modern horse racing times, is you get horses that are specifically pointed towards a race. And I would say with Tonka Warrior that they weren't necessarily, this probably wasn't a race on the radar, but you got an informed horse, you're taking a shot to win a grade 3. Maybe it works out. So plenty of price compensation. Those are just kind of my thoughts on there. The horse that I landed on, I like the one as well for all the reasons that you mentioned, so I'm not going to bore everybody by saying it again. The horse that I landed on in here is the number 8 Stitched, so I'm not too far away. I'm going to scroll down. So Stitch is one of 2 graded stakes winners in the field, the other one being another mystery who's won a graded stakes race going longer at Sam Houston. Stitched won. He won the grade 2 Wise Dan at Ellis Park last summer. Now, what's kind of interesting about that, so he won that race. It was a big upset, and Flavian Pratt was aboard, but Marcelino Pedroza, who's aboard today, was actually named to ride that day. He was supposed to ride Stitched. And so that shows me intent that he's getting back aboard. Another rider that's shipping in will be a very capable rider that's going to be more under the radar than like a Paco Lopez or even Vincent Cheminot, who's on the 9, right? Some of these other riders. So we kind of flying under the radar. And he's been intent to ride this horse. So this horse has a graded stakes win. Has intent with the rider, has intent with the barn, and coming in off the 120-day freshening, that kind of goes to intent that maybe they were looking to point to this race. I've watched this horse train coming in because he is coming off the layoff, so that's something I want to look at is like where's this horse at in kind of their form cycle off works. And I absolutely I love the work on September 13th. I thought that was just such a key drill. It was a breeze. It was in the pouring rain. He just did everything right. Really strong breeze, massive gallop out. That's like, I clocked horses in the past. That's what we'd call like a key drill. Like that's a drill that this horse is so race ready, and then he comes back and works another half mile afterwards. So that shows me that he's race ready off the layoff. He's got the back class, the numbers, and his speed figures aren't they're not overly flashy, but they fit on par. And he's running his competitive races in that solid grade 1 company, grade 1 turf mile at Keeneland. I mean, there's no slouches in there. $2 million race at Kentucky Downs last year. So they've thought something of this horse. And I think maybe they fly under the radar. I think 8-1 would be fair odds. I think he'll be every bit of that in this very competitive race.
Yeah. 2 things I'll note. If it is less than firm, I think that would move this one up a little bit. The race back at Ellis Park in July last year was really good. And the one thing I'd be worried about is the Justin Dew Trip of Death on the outside, pressing a speed horse, not getting a lead, and being too close to a pace. So I think Pedroza might want to watch those tactics, make sure he can maybe tuck in at some point, and
or send who's
well I think the
speed in here.
Well, the Illinois bred, the filly on the inside is probably gonna go. I guess I would imagine.
But even still, if they try to go and clear, right, it's not like he's going to be trying to go and clear with her 3 wide necessarily, right? Because if one horse just tries to clear, you can just kind of follow and track. I think you make up a good point. You definitely, if you get caught wide in that trip, it's trouble.
We just
It's not like a race where you have 5 or 6 E type horses that are all going to be gunning for it. the 2 will probably send, but like the 4 could go kind of either way in terms of rating or being up close to the lead. And
I think Tut would be prominent early. Obviously, I mean, Katie Milady is. I mean, Julio's going to send her from inside, and I think her only chance of winning this race would be to wire. Obviously,
yeah,
she's not going to be tracking or coming from out of it. I mean, her running lines are, and she's classy. She's nice, and she could, she could surprise. I'm not saying she's gonna win, but she's fast, and if they let her go, maybe she can get comfortable in that second quarter mile. And
I guess what I'm saying with it's something to consider, but it's not like there's a lot of horses that are like need the lead to where he's going to necessarily get caught 4 or 5 wide chasing the pace.
I'm not saying
so
4 or 5 wide. I'm saying
if
the trip of death.
If the 2 and the 4 send and the 8 just chases them, the 8 gets a perfect trip.
Okay, so how far are you going to be out though? Are you going to be a length off, a length and a half, or are you going to be 3 wide? That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, being 3 wide in that scenario where there's only 2 other speed is, yes, the horse would lose. But there's no reason they would have to be. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well,
so if those 2 horses clear, they're on your inside, right?
Yeah.
Why would you not, as a rider, just say, I'm just going to sit right behind them? Why would you think I'm going to actually go even wider?
You make our point. We see jockeys do this all the time. They're always doing this trip of death.
Races, yeah, for sure.
It's but like, why are you riding this horse like this? Can you read a form?
And if they do, then he loses. But he doesn't. It doesn't have to. It's not like there's a lot of other speed, or that he's drawn in the middle of them, or to the inside of them. Well, there's other things. So yeah, I mean, it's something to consider. But again, I think at 8-1, I would take my chance in terms of trip in here.
This is what because I think DeVito's runners, it showed speed 2 back routing. Last time I went 5.5, but and that one's going to show speed. So this is what I would like to. The 8, I think, definitely moves up on and off, less than firm track, and it's fast enough, and it's got some backlash, like you said. So what I would like to see
numbers, I mean, if there's going to be give. I don't necessarily know if he moves up, but at least he's proven.
Can we get a trip like that Ellis Park run, July of 23?
I don't see why. I mean, I don't see why not.
That would be
why
perfect.
not? Why not? why not?
And it won that day at 46-1. We're not going to get 46-1 in here, but we could get a square price.
Right.
And
again, that's the race. That's the race that Pedroza was assigned to ride, and something happened.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like a pickup mount for Pratt.
Well, yeah, it was a pretty good. You got Flavion Pratt who picked it up and won.
But that's part of why that horse was 46-1, because if people had handicapped maybe like 3 or 4 days in advance, they're like, why is Flavion Pratt on this horse?
Let's look at the 9. We need to talk about it. It's 3-1. Good connections from out west. The Kentucky Downs race was really strong. That's a type of surface where usually it's a horse for course, but man, this horse brings its run at all kinds of different tracks, and it's going to be formidable. Again, it's going to be like, what kind of trip are we going to get from out there? I don't know. The soft going too bad. I guess it won't mind a less than firm. Obviously, the Keeneland race last October was awesome on a good surface. It's going to probably have to work out a trip similar to what we just talked about with your pick.
Yeah, I mean, this horse has versatility and run style as well, and I think some of those, looking at those last couple races, started off the year, that May 26th race was a complete excuse. Stumbled and bumped hard at the break, and then raced in hand from off the pace. So kind of a prep coming back. And then the race at Colonial on July 13th, that's a 3-horse field. So it's not like you're going to be further than a couple, and there's only 2 other horses in the race, right? And he's also drawn along the rail, and they drew the rail again at Kentucky Downs, where probably being forward and on the inside wasn't a bad place to be during that meet. It seemed to be pretty favorable. So the fact that they're drawn they're drawn outside today. They don't have the rail. They don't have, one or two other horses to run with. This horse can rate. He can rate around 2 turns. He's done so in the past. Definitely not a need the lead type. He's not coming out of races that are super fast. I think the horse was forward more because of situations than necessarily their natural run style. It's my opinion. This was a horse, if they do try, that probably does get that trip of death for sure.
Yep. I want to look at the block runner here in the 10 hole.
I think this horse is dangerous. This horse seems dangerous.
This looks like a classic. Like it's, it made its 4-year-old debut, ran well. I remember that race at Churchill, and then came to Ellis. I missed that race, but that was a nice race. It won at 8-1. And
that was an awesome race. The seven horse, DeVito's horse, came back from that race and won.
There you go. So now a little freshening, just strong work tab. These 4-year-olds, they really get stronger as the year goes. And this is peak time. Like it could just get a new top today. And you got Cohen in the irons. This is one I definitely want to have somewhere in my trifecta and exactas, and it likes the surface. So it's faster now as a 4-year-old. It's probably even faster now later in the season as we get to the fall. It's got a late kick, and Cohen is a strong rider. We know how he is. When he's in contention down the lane, I mean, he's going to get that horse home if it's got any talent at all. I mean, so I like this runner. I think it's one that you also need to obviously look at deep.
I have this horse as an A as well, because of everything that you mentioned. I mean, all the races last year were sneaky good. They weren't necessarily fast races, but it was a lightly raced 3-year-old. A couple of those races have been here on a yielding surface. Now, that again, they weren't super fast races, but they're consistent with what he was running last year. And you mentioned, I mean, this year, this horse has gotten faster. This is an improving lightly raced 4-year-old gelding who's got local connections, who has intent. It's not like they've been running in other spots and now they're taking a shot in here. He's pointed to run in this particular race. Cohen got the win last out. He's freshened. This horse is going to run big. I think he's super dangerous in here. Again, this is my other A in the race.
Yeah, Chris Block on turf. I mean, it doesn't matter where he's running in the country. I mean, you have to put that in your
Yeah.
All right, now the 12 Kelsey Danner brings this one in. Otago. What do you like? What was the deal? Like they sent it to Kentucky down 6.5. They never really ran one turn with this horse. They tried that out.
Yeah, but is that really one turn?
Well, it's
still like 5 turns. Yeah.
It's down a hill, it's up a hill.
Yeah.
It's got a couple of turns. Those races do play like 7. I always add a half furlong.
Yeah. I think if anything, they were just kind of looking more for a race where he fit on the allowance eligibility than they were like distance, right? And so this horse fit as a non-winners of 3. Because they cleared the non-winners of 2 in August. So it's kind of like you're going to run in stakes company. Oh, there's this non-winners of 3. We have the conditions. So to me, that's what I think. It wasn't so much like the distance as it was an eligibility condition book deal. And he was wide, he's wide in there, but he's probably going to be wide in here. I think it's a good horse. They've tried him in some graded stakes races in the past, even graded stakes races in the past. So, there's intent. I prefer some others in here. This is the type of horse that to me, 10-1 is no value. I think he's probably a better play at like 30-1. That's my kind of fair odds. Yeah. I'd give the 11. I think the 11 might drift up a little bit more too, but he's got some class questions as well. Trip is going to be key, but he's second off that race. That second place finish last out, that was a really good effort. Not a great ride. Morales has been aboard in the past. I don't know where this horse fits on class. That's where 6-1's not much value in my opinion, but off that last race and off some prior efforts. I think this horse is worth a mention all the same. Again, prefer others as A's.
We cannot like leave this race without talking about another mystery.
Oh yeah. I mentioned him real quick. I said he's the other graded.
Yeah, you did mention him.
Yeah.
Listen, we love this guy. He's been around for a long time. He's won a lot of races, loves the track. I've been trying to beat him lately, and he's been favorite, and I've been trying to beat him, and he still beats me. I would love to see him run a big race here, come running down the lane late and hitting the board at the very least. And if could he win? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Just because of the horse for course angle, I guess. But what are your thoughts? I mean, is he a little bit too long in a tooth? I mean, the races from last year were much faster than this year. He's still winning, at least against Illinois breds. But is the Open Company races, is he past his prime for those?
Here's what there's a couple things. I mean, one, the form that he's been running this year has been consistent, but those races aren't good enough to win this race.
Right.
And you can't really project a move forward off those races this year. He doesn't have a move forward. He's going to run back to those races. So then from that standpoint, are those races good enough to win? No. Are they good enough to run third or fourth? Sure, whatever. But they're not good enough to win. And the races that he has run in the past that are good enough to win, when you isolate those races, they're at that marathon distance. And people have to be really careful with this, because for some reason this just doesn't get talked about enough in terms of handicapping. But for some reason, those races at marathon distances, the speed figure is like extremely high. And it just doesn't translate back to a mile. A mile, it's like trying to compare a horse that's a good 5 furlong sprinter that's just like quick and they just run fast, and then they try to run a mile. You're like, we're comparing an apple to an orange. And people don't think that for some reason when they're looking at those 12 furlong races and going back to a flat mile. It's a completely different ball game. So you can't compare those races. And yeah, if you want to make the leap of faith and say he's going to run back to that in order to compete here, he's never done it before. So, you're going to want price compensation. And I just think, a couple of those things, maybe people will play him off that. They get suckered into it every single time. But you have to, current form, I think, is who this horse is, and those races aren't good enough to win.
Well, yeah, it's his last hurrah. I'm going to go with the one here. I like Tonka. Your top pick again with another.
I'm 8-10 in here. Those are my A's. I have the one. I have the one as a B, because I think that horse makes all the sense in the world in this race.
Yeah, out of the two,
the one is probably a horse, like a good horse that if you're playing like tries, like you're keying, and because he's probably the most likely horse to finish in the board, right? The one.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like the 10 as well underneath. I got the 8. And, of course, Tonka. I'm going to throw the 6. I'm probably going to go 1 over 6, 8, 10 on a tri-key. And, yeah, out of the two blocks, I definitely like the younger one on the outside. Yeah. So, good stuff. This is going to be a good race. It's 150,000. Awesome. And
you know what I love? You know what the other thing that I love about this race? I love that it's a graded stakes race that goes right into a $4,000 non-winners of 3. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. It's just like, it's everything to me.
So yeah, let's talk about race 8 a little bit. I really don't have a strong opinion, but I do think Stronger Together is gonna win the race. You're dropping down here, and I think this is like what you mentioned earlier. We're getting closer to the end of the meet. Let's crack a win and move on here. Just has the class edge on the drop. It's not exciting at 7-2, but that's where I landed.
Yeah, I did as well. I think he's this should be the time and place. If you're saying this is maybe not the most reliable conditions, or horses run back to their thing. Oh, I will say the rider change to Luis Colon, I think, is a positive as well. They show a positive ROI. Part of that due to Hey Boone pulling off an upset earlier in the meet, but again, I think it just speaks to intent. So I like Stronger Together, but I would also consider using the 8. And then if I'm, really spreading, especially, the fact that I like some prices, or assuming they're going to be priced in the 7th, I could make a case to use the 4 and the something else, the 4 and the 3. But my top is also with you on the 5.
So the 4 is Not Very Gentle. And the 3 Unified Weekend. Yeah. And, opportunity here. We talked about the stake. So we got the $4,000 race here, but you could do doubles. We have rolling doubles.
Absolutely. Yep.
So if you could find something here, if you hit the first leg.
Late pick 5 carryover is also on Sunday.
Oh, and we have a low takeout, right?
Yeah. Well, it's still the same, but it's what, 5,000? Let me just double check what that carryover is. Where did it go? 5,000.
I'll play the pick 5. So
$5,368 carryover into the late pick 5. So that will start race 5.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we talked about race 5.
Yep.
We talked about all these races. Cool.
Yeah.
The last race over here, race 9 on the turf.
In theory.
Yeah, in theory, I hope. Did you have a strong opinion here?
I think the 8, even the wind, kind of like with some of the other horses we've talked about, where they're just in the right spot to get the win. It's a subtle class drop. Yep. He's got consistent form, consistent numbers, a crisp block runner who's probably live on the day with many other live runners. I think this is the horse to beat. He's going to be favored in here, but maybe he's not going to be as big of a favorite in here because Lara Ravelli has the 2. Wesley Ward is going to bring in the 6. I think some of those horses take a little bit of money, but I still think Even the Wind is the horse to beat in here. Will probably still be favored. But with those 2 horses, it'll be the difference of the horse being like 4 to 5, not 4 to 5, and probably 6 to 5, something like that. I think the other interesting horse in here to me is the 1. Caught Off Guard. I think this is the other one I would kind of use as kind of a top, a little bit more creative. Complete Excuse, last out, kind of like ran to his name. He was caught off guard, lunging out of the gate. He was compromised early. He showed run. He made a big wide move. That was a fast pace, both early and late. So pretty much can draw a line through that last race. And Joel Burnt sent out a very live horse that paid $40 on Thursday. So I'm going to use this horse as well because that form is buried off that most recent start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my dad's horse is Money Map. We were able to run it cheaper at Gulfstream and stuff like that. Our lowest level is on turf is this race here, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
This horse hates dirt. And he's perfectly fine. Should run a much better race. I know he's 30 to 1, but one that I would definitely throw underneath on the trifecta. Should perk up a lot with the surface switch if we stay on the turf. So just keep that in mind with Money Map with Slavinsky.
Okay. If we want to go back through, I will mention one horse because that horse that paid $40. There's a horse that. It's another Joel Burnt horse that's coming out of that same race. What race is that? Oh, race 3.
Race 3.
Jump there. So race 3 may or may not be on the turf, but I'll just mention this. The number 1, Commissioner Oscar.
Okay.
So a couple things. The horse that their stablemate, that horse finished off the board. I think their stablemate was finished 4th in there. That's the horse that won on Thursday, Victorious Vanda, who was actually favored in that race. Commissioner Oscar on September 12th was completely just missed off the 7-2 morning line. He finished in a blanket. It was a covered up trip. It was a blanket finish at the wire. And the short comment says like no interest or something like that. And I don't think that was the case at all for people that watch the replay. But yeah, just consider the fact there's the stablemate one next out here. I think this horse could be pretty live in here again with this race staying as is. Just wanted to mention that one.
That's cool. Yeah. So he's got the 4. So the 1 is the Minnesota bred. I was glancing at this race and I was like, okay, yeah, he's got 2 horses in here. We installed the 4 as a 7-2 morning line. Second choice or favorite? I have to look. Second choice. And then okay, so the 1 is 1 to well, we're 4 to 1.
Yeah. I mean, you can use both. I don't have any real knocks on the 4 either. I just thought that the 1 would be a little bit more dirtied up off that most recent running line, especially with that short comment. It doesn't really give full credit. And then T-Law I'm going to use as well. Is kind of one I've been chasing. I think his races on the turf have been good, just not quite the right trips. And he's 3 to 1, which isn't much value, but maybe it drifts a little bit. And we'll see. And again, this race being on the turf, which who's to say?
Yeah, I watched the replay of the last race. Sharp Stick just got away and crushed, and it ran a good race there, fighting for second, and Gallopout was decent. And I don't know if there's going to be a runner that's going to win like Sharp Stick in here, but yeah, if T-Law can just get a little bit of a better trip, good race flow, and make a move, and could fire here. You don't know what the 4 and the 1 are going to do because they haven't really run here at least on the turf course. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. But yeah, cool. The first race, might as well dive into that a little bit.
Yeah.
2-turn, 12-5 non-2 life. I didn't have a strong opinion in this race. I was kind of looking at Golden Buck a little bit, just because it was coming from out of town and it looks pretty quick. And it was just claimed. It had a nice drill back in July when they were getting this thing ready, and then it worked. It was down at FanDuel. Is that where James Watkins trains, or
he might? I mean, he's got a string at both, but I think he's been running maybe a few more horses there than here. But I talked to him. I ran into him on Thursday just because he was kind of down in the sports book, and asked about this horse, and they like him in the spot. His concern was that he's not sure if he quite has enough fitness into him, given the 34 days. But I think that the timing is better for this horse. I thought the horse, with that second place finish, it's not like it's a super strong speed figure, but this horse had to work really hard to get second that day because he did not have a good start. He had to do that's hard to make up ground at Ellis
I watched that, and he
did a lot of running.
He was dead last, a wide, like steadily advanced and made a wide move, and then just almost wore down. Well, tried to wear down the leader, but
that's not, and where that comes into a taxing race too is that's not his run style. He's not a big off the pace one closer. He sits closer to the pace, so it's a very taxing effort. So I don't mind that they've given the horse 34 days. And he's got some works in him, especially if they're going to try to show speed in here. And there's really not a lot of horses that are front runners in this field. So I think that's maybe their biggest advantage. I mean, the one might try to send. And that's another horse that's had some trouble at the start. There's a couple races, and his better race, his one win was on the lead. So they might try to send. But yeah, I think Golden Buck makes a lot of sense in here. Try to see I went to the 1. That's right. I went to the 1 in this spot because I think he is. I think that form is dirtied up. I think they have a little bit more tactical speed. And then I found something where we're launching this new kind of tool on optics that's like trainer. It's basically like how you can search for trainer stats on Formulator, but because you can also look at trip notes and things like that. It's a little bit nuanced. But with David Cohen taking over for this barn, for Eduardo Rodriguez. They're 6 for 21 in the win column. And 71% of those runners are in the money. So that it just at least suggests this is a live, very, very, very live rider change today. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I like the replay. Okay, I'll go with your 1 and then exactly with the 5. I like the replay of the 5. If anybody, so you guys got to go to your advanced wagering site to watch that if you have Formulator, because unfortunately you can't watch the replays. But it advanced on the outside. And maybe that's why the speed figure was a little lighter. It didn't get to run its race.
Correct.
And
that's what I think.
It made a big sweeping move and just steadily tried to wear down the leader and came up short. And hopefully James does have it ready.
For replay people, if they're not aware, I don't know if a lot of people don't know this. RTN, which is Roberts, right? Roberts controls all the signal. But yeah, I've as long as I've been playing horses, I have a subscription to RTN, and that's where I watch all the replays. So if you feel like you're compromised, it does cost money, but you know, if you're not watching the races, like you're gonna end up losing money that way. So I might as well just spend it to have the access to the replays.
Yeah, I like RTN. I'm just too lazy to fire it up on my Fire Stick and then get the replays there.
If you're and just a little note, if you are watching on like the Fire Stick or Roku, it is delayed it could be at least a minute, right around a minute. So but on your desktop or on your phone, it's as accurate as anywhere. So
yeah, I might have to start putting it up on my desktop.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about any other races before we go? I think we covered them all. Did we talk about race 2?
We might as well. We might as well talk about it.
Let's talk about race 2 here, and we'll close out the show with race 2.
Okay.
Race 2 is a 7,500 claimer going 3/4. No strong opinion from me. I'll let you shoot.
Yeah, I think I would use a few horses in here. I think that the 1 makes a lot of sense, probably closer to a lateral change in race par. A little less buried, or a little bit more buried, I'd say, is the 6, Heavenly Hash, who ran a better than looked race last out. Has had some races. Joel Campbell has 2 runners in here, which is very interesting to me. The 3 is probably the more obvious and probably the more intended. He also has Jocelyn, the 7, Jocelyn is actually racing above condition in this spot. So a little bit below, which can often suggest that the 3 has intent. And Smooth Justice has early speed. And so I think that could be a very live horse. If you're entering another horse that's just kind of racing above condition, you're probably hoping that the race fills. So I used a few in here, 1, 3.
Oh, you know
6.
what? I remember Smooth Justice. I remember talking to Joel. I'm like, Joel, I thought, because if you remember the track that day was really playing for speed. And I actually played this horse. And it just broke terribly. And
she was stumbled and bumped around at the start.
And I know we were way up in class. He's like, well, I tried that out. We didn't break good. So now I'm going back down. So yeah, I think he's well met here with this.
Yeah. She was also that day, just for people that want another further note, she was a big brat to get saddled down in the paddock, which isn't totally uncommon for her,
right,
but just might be something to kind of keep an eye on as well. If she's a little bit more kind of on her manners, that might be a positive.
Yeah, I think down here, break clean. I think this is going to be the one to beat.
And the 5 will get a lot of attention. Go Storming Girl. She's awesome. She's run really competitive races this season. She's going to come off a win, but she won last week. And another one where she had a good trip. She stayed on as the best of the speed, but just given no breather, she had to kind of work hard that day. So she's coming back on short rest, and that might give the 3 the edge in terms of having a little bit more lungs in her, ready to run a big race.
Yeah, I'm with you. 10-time winner. The 3. Look at these horses. The 3 and the 5 have a combined 21 wins. That's nice.
They're awesome.
All right, Emily.
That's why people like go tease. They'll be like, "Oh, these cheaper horses." I'm like, "You find me any horse that's 110 to their, 30 races.
Come on,
like, these
man.
horses are cool as hell. They're awesome.
I
think this card rules like start to finish.
It's a good card.
So many, every race is like playable, maybe except for that Ouvre race. But it's not that it's not unplayable, but every race is awesome. And then you have that 5,000 plus carryover in the late pick 5. So bonus.
I'll be playing the late pick 5. I'm going to be at a benefit from that's why we're doing the show today. I can't do the show in the morning. We're going to get up early, drive down to Frankfurt, if you know where that's at, down there in South Suburb. Anyway, my cousin is not doing well. He's got he's looking at a double lung transplant, which is not good. We're trying to do some things holistically. We're going to have a little benefit for him. It's the survival rate of the operation is not very good, let alone the if it's good, how long it lasts. So we're going to raise some money for him, watch the Bears game, hang out. So
well, thinking of you, it's toughest thing. So
yeah,
so we'll be for the best, but you guys will be there in good spirits.
Yeah, we'll be there hanging out.
That's worth a lot. So good for you.
And of course, I'll have my iPad and I'll be playing Hawthorne and watching a little bit of football and just hanging out. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back next Sunday at 8:00 on our regular time. And Emily, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. I think we got three or four race days left, or no?
Yeah, it'll be 4 after tomorrow.
4 after
race
tomorrow.
Days. We'll race the 3rd, the 6th, the 10th, and then the 13th is closing day. So 2 weeks. 2 weeks in October. Reminder for anybody that's local and listening: you have 2 chances to qualify into Benjamins. Right now, there's only 20 players. Right, a couple people have double qualified, but it's such a big opportunity that'll be on closing day on the 13th at the Villa Park OTB. It's going to be so much food. There's like a bar always, but a lot of food and just a huge opportunity to bet live money and win a ton of cash. It's $8,500 to first. 1 in 20 opportunity, I guess, if you're just talking person to person, but I think it's 36 entries. So 1 in 36, just awesome. So a couple Sundays left. If you're in the area and you haven't already qualified, good opportunity because you can only qualify twice. So a lot of people have already double qualified. So your chances of qualifying right now are even better. So
how it works, Emily, you have the big last day tournament with the big first prize. You have to win on any given Sunday to make it to the last day of the tournament. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and typically you're getting 20, you said 20 players on every Sunday, or what do you?
I'm actually not sure because the number kind of jumps around a little bit, but right now there's, it'll be 36 spots. And right now there's 20 individuals that have qualified or that have, won their way in, but some of them have double entries. And you can only win 2. So a lot of people that have been playing, a lot of people don't know about it. And since they don't know about it, there's been the local people that do know about it that are taking full advantage. But now that those people have qualified, you might be able to show up with a 1 in, 12 chance to qualify for a spot. So it's like great odds and then even better odds, especially if you're betting already. So I don't know if there's an OTB on your way down to.
Yeah, I do. I like I mentioned before, I have the one over there, the Players Pub off of Willow or Milwaukee Avenue.
Yeah.
That I could probably stop at, or actually on Sunday, maybe I could stop at what's the most furthest south OTB? Would that be? I have to look, but
like a Joliet or Crestwood or I don't know.
Way down there, yeah.
I'm still new to the area. The geography kind of gets me. I think south for me. I'm like those two seem like they're pretty far away, but because I'm closer to the city. But yeah, look at a map. There's a few down there. You can just put
and it's $100.
$100 live cash. So keep them what you win, regardless. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll make a point to do that. Since I'm going to be driving around down there, I won't be at the track on Sunday. maybe I could hit up an OTB, me and my dad, and we'll throw some money down.
Get everybody, all of your people to
get them all. Get all my people.
Yeah,
get
them all in there. Yeah, absolutely. Give yourself a chance.
All right, Emily. Well, good luck today. You're going to be at the
right.
track. You're going to be there live today, right? Or tomorrow?
Saturday?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow I'll be there. Tomorrow I'll be there live. Today I'm simulcast land, right here at home, right in my spot.
All right. We'll see you guys next week, Sunday at Hawthorne,
right.
getting that OTB tournament.
Yes.
And
all right,
send all
my love to your family.
Will do. Thanks, Emily.
All right, we'll see you soon. All right,
yep.
bye.
Bye-bye.